Would you like to learn how to make this beautiful apricot chicken fast and easy as can be? Just stay tuned for the next episode of Hilltop Stovetop. Hello and welcome back to Hilltop Stovetop, the show where we're teaching you how to make great meals in an ordinary kitchen. Today we're going to be making apricot chicken or chicken fantastique, depending on which version of the recipe you're looking at. Now this is a very simple recipe. It involves some salad dressing, some onion soup mix, and of course some jam. The reason I chose this one is I was flipping through my recipe books and I said, oh, this looks like a good recipe. And then I looked a little bit further down the page, exactly the same recipe. This was one of those cookbooks that was a compilation as a fundraiser. So two different groups from different sides of the country both came up with the same recipe. They just called it by a different name. And then, so I thought, okay, it's got to be good. Two different groups like it. Then I'm looking at the package of the onion soup mix, and what do I see? Exactly the same recipe right on the onion soup mix. So there's three sources for this really simple recipe. The one thing is, if you happen to be allergic to apricots, you can swap out apple jelly or grape jelly, just a smooth kind of a jelly. You don't want something too sharp to go with this. The other thing is that 2 out of the 3 recipes called for Russian dressing. Russian dressing is not a stylish kind of dressing right now, so it was hard to come by. So I'm just choosing Catalina. Russian dressing, when you look up the substitutions for it, I mean, it's a combination of kind of ketchup and mayonnaise, and it's kind of a sweet one, so that's why I chose Catalina, which again is a tomato base and a little bit on the sweet side. And then the other thing is that you can buy pieces of chicken because, like if you want all legs or all thighs or all breasts or whatever it might be, or just a combination of pieces, quite all right to do that. I've chosen a little frying chicken that I happen to have in the freezer, and I'm going to use my kitchen shears to cut that up into pieces. Kitchen shears are a really important kitchen tool, but they need to be a good quality with enough strength to cut through bones on something like a chicken. And so I'm going to go ahead and chop this up. There will be a few pieces left over, like along the backbone and stuff, which aren't good necessarily for eating. But I'm just going to take those, pop them in the air fryer to brown them. And then once they're browned, I can boil them up to make a little bit of stock. And if you look back to my video on how to make chicken soup, that's basically what you're doing, is you're taking the bony bits and browning them and then boiling them up. So I'm going to quickly do this, and then we'll get back to putting it back together again. Okay, so we're back, and we have our chicken cut up into pieces, 2 breasts, or actually the breasts I cut into 2 pieces each. So 4 pieces of breasts, 2 wings, 2 legs, and 2 thighs. And I've got some extra pieces left over, the backbone and the breastbone with a little bit of meat on it. Those are the part that I'm just going to cook up to make a stock to put into something else later. Now, for those of you that are eagle-eyed, you might notice that we have a slightly different camera angle today, and that is thanks to David at DAS Repair Center. So those of you who live in Winnipeg, if you need some help with your computer or your tablet or your phone, David's your guy. So I heartily recommend it. I'm going to put a link down to his website in the description below. So now we need to make a little sauce for this. You'll notice that I put things away and I washed up the scissors and the cutting board and stuff. When you're dealing with raw chicken, make sure that you are keeping things clean. Now I've taken some of this apricot jam and I put it into the microwave for about a minute, just to soften it up, to make it easier to mix up. Otherwise it's really quite gummy. And all we have to do is take the lid off of this bottle, and we put in about half the bottle, and 1 package of onion soup mix. And we're just going to mix that all up. It's pretty easy, right? And then we're going to pour this over top of all of our chicken and make sure everything is well coated. Mix it all up because I want to make sure that every surface has got something on it. I also make sure that your pan is really well oiled because this will get kind of sticky as it cooks. Now when we put things back together again, I want to make sure that I've got the ends of those wings sort of hidden underneath something else because they're the part that's likely to burn first. So there we go. Now, cover this up. And this is the part, at this point, you could have done all of this ahead of time and just left it in the refrigerator for when you come home at night. And that actually might make it a little bit better, basically marinating the meat. But I'm going to put it on to cook right away. I want to make sure that we cover it up. If you have a casserole dish with a cover on it, you could certainly use that. But I'm using my Pampered Chef pan that can go from cold to hot and will actually hold a lot of heat. So now the next thing is, of course, you have to cook it. And normally you would put it in the oven at 350 degrees for an hour. Right now, I don't really want to do that because we're in the middle of a heat wave here in Winnipeg and it's about 30 degrees outside. So I don't want to turn on my oven. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this whole thing, I'm going to put it on the barbecue for an hour. And I have a gas barbecue so I can regulate the heat. Still going to be keeping it around that 350 degrees. Still going to be for an hour, but it's going to be on the barbecue. So we'll pop out there to the balcony and I'll see you out there. Okay, so we're at almost an hour here on the barbecue at 350 degrees. I did take the foil off of this already, and here we go. This beautiful, bubbly, I hope the overhead shot is good. This is the first time I've tried filming out here. But the sauce is still a little bit on the runny side. So what I have here is a tablespoon of cornstarch, just mixed up with a couple of tablespoons of water. And I'm just going to add that into the sauce. Just drizzle it into the spots where, and give that a little bit of a stir. And you can tell by the way the meat is coming away from the bones that the meat itself is cooked quite well. But I'm going to give these a little bit of a turn in there. Again, this is different when you have when you're doing it on the barbecue versus your oven where it's getting heat just from the bottom. So even though I had the lid down, it doesn't have quite the same browning qualities. So I'm going to put the lid down, cook it for about another 10 minutes to let that thicken up. I've got some rice on the stove cooking, and then dinner will be ready. All right, so here we are about 10 minutes later. This is off of the barbecue and ready to go. And we have beautiful chicken, beautiful sauce, just a little bit of rice underneath it. If you want, you can do some kind of vegetable with it. And there we have it, apricot chicken, chicken fantastique, depending on which page you want to look at. And it was like 5 minutes prep time, an hour in the oven or on the barbecue, whichever works for you, and dinner's ready to roll. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Hilltop Stovetop, where we learned how to make apricot chicken, and that if you do like it, that you will like and subscribe and share with your friends. And if there's anything else that you would like to learn how to cook, Just let me know in the comments. If it's something I know how to do, I'll help you out. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.